Wilfredo Gomez of Santurce, Puerto Rico, is making his 7th defense against the challenger Nestor Jimenez of Colombia. Gomez, 22 years old, has won 22 straight by knockouts, a perfect record. 22 wins, no losses, 1 draw. Jimenez, a veteran of 78 fights, of his 64 victories, 22 by knockouts. Gomez in the green and white trunks, Jimenez in gold and black. Gomez had to shed 6 pounds today, going into a hot box to get down to 122. Jimenez is 121 3/4. Under WBC rules, the 3 knockdown rule is waived, but there is a mandatory 8 count on any knockdown. 10-point must system. The referee, Tony Perez. Gomez, a heavy hitter. Jimenez, a wily veteran, very experienced, very shrewd, known as a tough opponent. Notice how Gomez gives Jimenez very little room to work. He's cutting off the ring on Jimenez. Jimenez has won his last 15 in a row. He has not been beaten in 4 years, and he takes a right hand, and he's against the ropes, and he's staggered. Gomez moving in. About a minute and a half to go in round 2. Plenty of time. Gomez continues to pound away. Jimenez trying to fight back, but he's mostly involved with covering up. And he isn't tall enough to take advantage of that top rope. At 5 feet 4 inches, he can't make the top rope, so he keeps ducking underneath. Gomez pounding away, and he hits him with a solid right. Another solid right. Round 1 was even, but Gomez is taking control here in round 2. Gomez mixing it up, going to the head and to the body. Wilfredo Gomez, they call him Bazooka because of his firepower. And he certainly is inflicting a lot of punishment here in round 2 on Nestor Jimenez. 30 seconds to go in the round. Trying to waste that clock. Looks like Jimenez will survive round 2, but Gomez won it clearly. In the final seconds, Gomez still trying to take him out. And that's the end of round 2. Round 4, Wilfredo Gomez, the super bantamweight champion in the green trunks with the white stripe, against the challenger Nestor Baba Jimenez of Colombia. Gomez from Puerto Rico. First round was even. Gomez went to town in rounds 2 and 3. Jimenez trying to move now against Gomez. Rounds 2 and 3, he fought on the ropes, and Gomez cleaned up. Gomez connecting with the left and a right there, and Jimenez once again on the ropes, and Gomez trying to take him out. Gomez fighting flat-footed, going for the knockout. He's won 22 in a row by KO. Gomez weighed in at 122. Jimenez 121 3/4. Gomez had one complaint about his first visit to New York. He didn't like the mattress in his hotel room, and he has spent the week sleeping on the floor. Difficulty making the weight. He had to sweat it off in a hot box, exactly 6 pounds to make the 122 limit. Jimenez continues to miss as Gomez is bobbing and weaving. Jimenez has not connected in this fight as yet. Punches are light. In Colombia, Jimenez's father was a drummer in a local band. He liked the song Babalu so much he nicknamed his son Baba. But in this fight, Gomez is beating Jimenez like a drum. He is not fighting back at all, and we wonder if this fight should continue. Gomez with solid rights and lefts. So far, Tony Perez, the referee, has had little work. Remember, it's the 10-point must system. And Gomez is just absolutely dominating. 30 seconds to go in round 4. And we wonder how much punishment Jimenez can take. Gomez with an uppercut. Heavy punishment. Jimenez sagging on the ropes in his own corner as round 4 is coming to a close.
So again, around 4.
Round 5, Wilfredo Gomez, the super bantamweight champion, taking on Nestor Jimenez. And this fight has been controlled by Gomez in the green trunks. Once again, he's got Jimenez on the ropes as he had all evening. After an even first round, Gomez has won the next 3. And Jimenez is taking a lot of punishment. Gomez at 22, very poised, very confident, very cool. And he's got power in both hands. The key here for Jimenez is to move away from those ropes. Once again, notice how Gomez just backs him into the corner, cuts off the ring, gives him very little room. Solid right hand right there. Another solid right hand. The officials here have to determine if Jimenez really should continue. He has not hurt Gomez at all, in my opinion. Tony Perez is the referee. Once again, Jimenez takes a solid right on the ropes. He's cornered now. Jimenez has not lost in 4 years. He's won 15 in a row. Gomez looking for his 23rd straight victory. He has won those 22 by knockouts. Amazing. Gomez now using a lot more uppercuts. In a way, that's a lot more damaging than a straight blow because there's a better connection. Jimenez is so experienced, is so shrewd that he keeps moving away from the punches. The uppercuts do more damage. Another right hand by Gomez connects. Another right, and a left, another left, and a right. Jimenez just covering up here. 45 seconds to go in round 5. Gomez just measuring Jimenez. Looking for the haymaker. Left hand, and then a right is down. A left hook followed by a right, and Jimenez goes down. Remember, there's a mandatory 8 count. Perez counting it off.
7, 8.
Up at 8, and the towel comes into the ring. That's it. It's all over. Jimenez's handlers have stopped the bout. Wilfredo Gomez has retained his super bantamweight championship with his 23rd straight knockout. Here's the moment of truth in slow motion. Gomez takes out Jimenez with a left hook. Not a thunderous punch, but Jimenez took so many punches, he was exhausted. So the technical knockout scored at 2:51 of the 5th round. Wilfredo Gomez, with his 23rd straight knockout, 23 straight wins. Still the super bantamweight champion. This is Sal Marciano reporting.
Got slightly ahead after the second round.
The way it was. This fight, videotaped earlier. Round 3. His back to you in the light trunks is Wilfredo Gomez. Now to the left of your screen. And the other fighter in the purple trunks or dark trunks is, of course, Carlos Mendoza. From Panama City, a surprising fight. It was in this round that he began to put things together, to the surprise of Gomez. Gomez Gomez's confidence was clear. We saw Gomez back in Munich, West Germany, in the 20th Olympiad. He did not win the gold there, but he has come on to be one of the most feared fighters, inch for inch and pound for pound in the ring. A man of almost savage fury. But Mendoza took the best that Gomez could throw in the first 2 rounds. And there, a caution from referee Richard Green to Gomez about buck. Now that undercut of Gomez's proved to be his most effective blow. Holding the head forward, Mendoza was a sucker for the uppercut, and yet you saw him staggered right there. Slipped so many punches. Here he took the best that Gomez could throw, and he survived it, and he would come back against it. Gomez at this point appearing to be an easy winner, but it didn't prove to be that way at all. Not at all. This was the 3rd round. You saw that uppercut. Thrown with the right and then with the left. Gomez, one of the few fighters who can throw. Now you see Mendoza coming back, using the left jab, getting off the ropes. Gomez, one of the few fighters who can uppercut effectively with either hand. Now, there was Gomez backing off to take a break. One suspected he might be growing arm weary at that point. He had thrown so many punches. Mendoza simply refused to buckle under. Then, the 3rd round finally would come to an end. Mendoza would come out for the 4th round, which we will show you. Taking the pummeling right there was Mendoza. This was round 3. Remember, videotaped earlier here in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Super Bantamweight Championship of the world at stake. You just saw Mendoza get in a good left. After all the beating he had taken, he was coming back, getting the left in there against Gomez, who had to have been surprised at this point, anticipating an easy victory. But the little Panamanian had won 24 of his last 25 fights, had in his record fought 5 different champions. Tough cookie. The 3rd round ended. Then as the 3rd round ended, here in Las Vegas, Nevada, between rounds, Gomez appearing totally confident. One of the best balanced fighters I have ever seen. Chris, you watched this fight with me. At that point, how did you feel about it?
Well, I always remembered that Mendoza had been knocked out 8 times in a lengthy career, and whose record is not accurate, but as you said, had won 24 of the last 25, and all but one by knockout. But I became a believer when I saw that he was up on his feet all the time like he was walking on eggs. He knew how to move. He was not an easy target to hit for the champion. And the champion, as you'll see a little bit later on, became very frustrated, and you'll see a swollen area over his left eye, and it's probably good that he did take him out in the 10th round, because Mendoza is one of the toughest lighter division fighters we've seen in a long while.
All right. We saw signs of Mendoza taking the best of Gomez in the 3rd round and beginning to come back. Now, 4th round action. And watch the way Mendoza began to come back in this one. He stung Gomez with that left he had just thrown. Gomez beginning to look at his opponent with a new respect in this round. Remember that this man Gomez has had 26 fights, 25 victories, 25 KOs, 1 draw. But right there, you saw Mendoza beginning to get combinations in against Gomez. And it was then that we first began to see a puffiness over the left eye and around the left eye and the upper left cheekbone of Gomez. Mendoza. See him staying out of range. Gomez trying to work to the midriff to weaken Mendoza and bring his guard down. As you see the graphic, and as we have told you, this was videotaped earlier. 4th round action. Gomez missing with his blows now. Mendoza going to the belly. Did you see that, Chris?
Yes, and Gomez in white at 122 pounds, which is the super bantamweight limit, Earlier in the week, Howard, he had weighed 128 pounds. So we thought at this point that maybe, because he had to shed 6 to get the limit in a championship fight, that he was weak. But he punched himself out, as we both know. And Mendoza, just a tough bantamweight.
Well, what you viewers just saw was Gomez pinioned against the ropes and Mendoza hitting him with combinations, clearly winning the 4th round. And after the 4th round was over, going into the middle rounds, Mendoza held his own and more. Most of us had the fight even going into what turned out to be the final round, but we will see for ourselves what happened. This, the 4th round, you will see the 8th and 9th rounds, and then the wrap-up in the 10th round. The crowd loved this fight. The crowd, by the way, still stunned by the rapidity and the abruptness of Sugar Ray Leonard's first-round knockout of Andy Price. Mendoza getting the left in. Maybe you can see the puffiness now in Gomez's left eye. There had been blood and is blood now from the left nostril of Gomez. At this point, it was a different Gomez from the cocky fighter who began the fight and cleaned up in the early going. We're approaching the end of this round, videotaped earlier. We'll be back for the later rounds in a moment.
When you need your car now, but you're...
Yeah, this is videotaped. Fight fought earlier. We've seen the 3rd and the 4th rounds, the comeback of Mendoza. In the early middle rounds, Mendoza was plaguing Gomez. That eye got tighter and tighter, more and more swollen. This 8th round action. At this point, you could see that Mendoza was an emboldened fighter. He was no longer that respectful of Wilfredo Gomez, which in the long run may have proved to be his 10th round undoing. The referee was Richard Green here in Las Vegas. Fights are scored by 3 judges. The referee, no voice in the score. In the 8th round, try and note, if you will, that left eye of Gomez. Notice how Mendoza, at this point, was picking off Gomez's blows with his glove, because Gomez's arms had grown kind of leaden, seemed kind of heavy. The crisp, sharp punching of the early rounds seemed to have vanished. And behind us, we could hear the press ooh and ah, as they themselves found it hard to believe that Mendoza was putting up the battle that he was. I am told by my producer, Chet Forty, that we will not have time to show you the 9th round, where Mendoza dominated. Look at that, left and a right. And I told you he was an emboldened fighter. But we will take you to the 10th round so that you can see the stunning comeback of Gomez. There is Gomez totally on the defense. And a now confident Mendoza, feeling he had taken control of the fight. And indeed he had, was giving it to the very great fighter, Wilfredo Gomez. Now, there, I told you that Gomez's most effective blow was the uppercut, because as you look at the fight posture of Mendoza, that head is forward and is wide open for the uppercut at close quarters. And how Gomez can throw the uppercut. But still, you see Mendoza scoring a larger number of blows in this fight and clearly winning the round. At this point, nobody could believe what they were seeing, right, Chris?
No, but they were aware that Mendoza, on the right of your screen, had fought 5 world champions, much more experienced than the champion in white, Gomez. But Gomez, you think he annihilated, demolished Zarate, another champion. And here he was having trouble with this club fighter, but what a challenger.
He really was. What a challenge. What a right there. Here's slow motion of Mendoza, landing, scoring some good punches, coming right up. That was Gomez in the corner. And you see the left eye, half the size of the right. Now watch. Look at that right. And notice where it went, against the damaged left eye. Then the left to that nostril from which blood was drawn. All right. We'll return. return with more boxing action. Round 10 of that fight, Mendoza against the champion. After this message and a... All right. This was the start of the 10th round. At this point, my unofficial scorecard had Mendoza hit by a point. Michael Katz, for instance, of the New York Times, had Mendoza behind by a point. Subjective is scoring and fighting, of course, but everyone knew it was an amazingly close fight. Now this, the 10th round. Watch closely because, as I said earlier, Mendoza had become a confident fighter, maybe too bold, and that may have been his undoing, because Gomez is so very great indeed. Now, right there, a little bit of apparent controversy. A suddenly developed slit in the back of the glove. Everlast glove, of course. See that? The finger went into it. There it was. Now the slit had become a hole, and they elected to do nothing about it. Richard Green tried to push it down partially, and that was the turning point of the fight, because watch. Suddenly, Gomez became a tiger, and you saw that finishing right. It happened so suddenly. It startled the entire crowd. Mendoza getting up. Richard Green checking the gloves. Blood coming from Gomez's left nostril. But now Mendoza was ready to go. He had felt the full savage fury of the fists of Wilfredo Gomez. It had taken until the 10th round, at a time when Gomez seemed the more weary, but drawing upon his inner resources, fired away relentlessly. And there was the right, and then the left. But the right in there first did the heavy work, as it did on the first knockdown. And this was it. He was game, but the legs were rubbery, the eyes were glazed, and Richard Green was ready to stop it, elected not to, but right here, defenseless against the 4-strand ropes designed for the protection of the fighter. Gomez was at Mendoza again. So we had 2 knockdowns in the fight. And Richard Green, one would wish that he would have stopped it here and now. He still let Mendoza go on. Gomez pummeling him at will. Mendoza staying upright on incredible nerve alone. Finally, the referee stopped the fight. A 10th round TKO just before the round would have ended. Now we're going to show you in just a couple of seconds. We'll be showing you there was Gomez receiving the victory, and he was a tired Gomez who had again punched himself out, Christopher. No question about it. But he was happy to have this one under his belt.
He really was. His corner, I've never seen such a worried corner, because they knew that he had thrown his best punches from both sides of that bantamweight body at 122 pounds, and it had to be somewhat depleted by dropping that weight over a 2-day period, Howard. But he knows only one thing. As he has often said, when I get in the ring, I don't read the rule book. I just fight. Because he had some low blows. He throws them from everywhere. But what's up? What's next for him now? Would it be Danny Little Red Lopez?
I believe so. Little Red is here tonight.
Right.
I think for the very purpose of scouting Gomez. Now here in slow-mo, the first knockdown. Look at that right. And the left missed, but it wasn't needed. And that was knockdown number 1. This was knockdown number 2. Mendoza missing. The right did it. The left finished it off. And so it was a compelling fight. It really was a compelling